Yeah, we got a little mushroom moment going on. Okay, cool. I started sharing my screen. Yeah, it's awesome to see y'all here. I hope the workshops have been going well. Jackie's workshop was awesome. So, welcome to the Intro to HTML CSS workshop for the Mini Holiday Hackathon. So, my name is Ellie. If you haven't met me before, I'm a curriculum developer at Codedex. I joined the team as an intern July of last year. My favorite game is Overcooked 2. It is on the Switch. It's really fun. It gets me probably one of the most competitive things I'll ever really be invested in. And I really love the 90s web. It's something that I didn't grow up on because I'm a 2002 baby, but it's still very nostalgic to me. And then I also love playing the New York Times Spelling Bee. That's my favorite New York Times game. Cool. So my kind of first experience ever with computers is my sister's like Dell Inspiron laptop. It literally looked like that. And if you'd like remember the old like Windows, like Purple Place, I learned how to play solitaire on that computer. This is all just like very, Purple Place was so good. I just remember being like one of the earliest memories that I have of using a computer. But anyways, let's get started with the agenda. So first, I'll be showing you where to set up, how to even start coding. There's a lot of different places and approaches, especially if this is your first time like figuring out, okay, where do I even start making a website? I'll start breaking down HTML a little bit. We'll add CSS for HTML, and I'll explain how that works. And then there's going to be a little like creating a web page with me code along. I'll explain the idea at the end, but yeah, this is the agenda. So yeah, we'll dive into where you can start setting up your code, and then kind of what this even all means. So there's two, I guess, like areas that you'll need to cover. So first is like your files, right? Your index.html and your style.css file. So these are like files on your computer. So HTML looks like this, which is all the blue and white text, and then your output website. So whatever you're coding, you need to also see what it is you're coding so that you can know what to change and like all of that stuff. So these are two very important things. So the first one obviously is Codédex Builds. So if you're new to Codedex, there's like this build section at the top of on the header of our website that you can click on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then you'll be able to have files already there and then an assets folder so that you can also put in like pictures and GIFs and stuff like that. There's also a JavaScript file that's going to be the next workshop right after this so that JavaScript can add like fun, like cool functionality to your website. So HTML, CSS is just for adding text and images and also the decoration part of websites. The next one is Glitch and Replit. So this one is also, and I mentioned Glitch because Glitch is my first hackathon was in 2019, and I used Glitch to make my project, and I didn't know how to use it. It was the first time ever. And then it automatically auto-generates like a link so that you can share your website like publicly, and then people can go to that link. Cool. And then the third one is what a lot of more like advanced devs start using, or you kind of get familiar with setting up like websites and stuff, and that's VS Code and GitHub. So I won't be going through like how to set this up, but there is project tutorials on there's project tutorials on like on Codedex so that you can see how to set up VS Code, GitHub. We also have a GitHub course that I wrote. So that's also something if you want to check out. And yeah, so the extension is the live server extension so that, like I mentioned, that is what gives you the preview of your website so you can see what you're coding. And when you save it, it automatically refreshes. So if you want this set up, this is also something that you can do. And then you can host it on GitHub. So this is also today in 2 hours. So yeah, I think I'm seeing in the chat, some people already linked this, but this is host a website on GitHub Pages. This is so that if you do have your code on GitHub, you can host it on a website that you can also kind of have a link to share with people. definitely check that out if you're wanting to learn how to do this for the first time. Okay, I'll get us start then by breaking down HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So it's not technically a real like programming language like we would say Python or Java is, but it's a markup language, so it's still like programming in and of itself. So this is the first part of what you'll see in an HTML file. The first half, I guess. So we have what is the doc type. So this makes sure that the your file knows like, okay, this is a HTML file. You have the head of the website. This means that basically this contains the information that the browser uses. So this is going to be the title, which shows up on your tab. So title here is Hello World, and then you can see right here that that's what the tab is called. So I like to think of HTML as just a place where you put in all your information. So you're going to have your images, you're going to have descriptions, you're going to have captions, like all of that stuff that you see on a website. Everything is kind of like the HTML, all the text. We also have to tell the HTML file that we have CSS that we want to link it to. So then that is going to be this link right here, which is a style sheet, and then we're going to link the CSS file. So that is just style.css. And sometimes this changes depending on your project, but typically, and especially I'm going to be coding in Codédex Builds later, so that is going to be the style.css. And then we also link to our JavaScript file as well in a script file. So again, that's going to be the next workshop with Dharma. He'll explain how to then and connect, like we're connecting CSS to HTML, but he'll be showing how to connect JavaScript to HTML. So that's that. Okay. And then, so this first half. So then the second half of the HTML document essentially is what we call the body. So the body is going to actually have all the stuff that shows up on your website. So this is going to be like your title, your images. These like everything in pink right here. So like the H2, Ps. So these stand for stuff like paragraph text, your header text. Divs are what we call just like containers or wrappers around content so that you're able to like organize effectively, I guess, for your website. This is what a typical HTML file looks like. And then this is a direct translation of like what we write to like what shows up on screen. So we have a header one, which is the biggest type of header. So then there's header level 1, and then it goes all the way to 6. We also have stuff like bold, italics, underlining, strike through, so things like that. So you're able to add in a bunch of stuff. And this is only just the beginning. Like HTML goes really, really deep. And a lot of it is actually just remembering what sort of tag to use, what element to use. So that's something to keep in mind, is that you're gonna while you're working on your website, you have to do a lot of research as you're creating it, because you want to get to some sort of like end or conclusion of like what you want your website to look like. But you need to figure out which kind of HTML to use, which CSS to use. Yeah, this is just kind of an example of how you're able to kind of format your text to show up on screen using basically essentially what like quote unquote like labels, right? So bold, italics. Cool. And then that's just like a very, very brief kind of overview on HTML. I do really highly suggest the HTML course that we have on Codédex. And I usually find all the exercises like pretty quick to go through. So if you have maybe some time before the hackathon and you want to get it will cover a very in-depth what I kind of explained very briefly about HTML just now. Cool. So let me also go into a little bit about breaking down CSS. So typically right here in this corner, so there's the source folder with the pages, and then you have your styles, and the style.css file will exist somewhere. And so you'll see here, this is an example of what CSS looks like. And you might have noticed this just like kind of being on the internet, you'll figure out kind of what there's background color. A lot of it is very like direct, like background color, the height of something, the width of something. Like, these are all like kind of describing how to lay out and like attribute to certain things. So yeah, CSS. And the structure of it is basically you have a selector and a declaration. So the selector is going to be either that group of something. So the selector here in this case is a div, and we want to align the text to the center. So very kind of straightforward. And we can see kind of, this is an example of what this looks like. So we have HTML, and then we're going to take a look at the body, because the body is what actually shows up on the screen. So we have all the other information. We have the link to the file, the CSS file. So in the body, we have a P tag here. So the P stands for paragraph. So whenever you want to write a paragraph in HTML, you open bracket P. And then I just said, hey, it's me, smiley face. And then I have a style.css sheet linked that I put here, that P, and then I declared it with color is red, and then the font size being 25 pixels. So font size like lets me change the font to whatever size I want. And then the color changes the color of the paragraph text. So I changed it to red. So then now it says, hey, it's me in red, and 25 pixels. So yeah, that's kind of the linking of HTML and CSS together, and why we typically kind of work with them together, and you'll see them together a lot when we talk about web dev, because CSS lets us really, that's where all the stuff happens to actually make the website come to life, and adding a bunch of stuff design wise. Cool. And then also a very, very important thing to know about CSS is kind of the box model that like is how CSS works. So these are all very basic examples, but I'll show you a little bit about kind of the content box, which is things like text and image. So there's technically, if you were to look at this text in the browser and use like browser tools to see it, you'll see that this is technically like a little box that it had, an imaginary box around like the text. So that would be like the content. And then you have what's called padding, border, and margin. So I'll show a little bit again in the code along so that you all can see exactly how I do this. But padding just gives it more space around it. And then margin is a different kind of space between elements. So that's kind of the difference between those. And then the border, you were able to add kind of like a button. I think that's a very straightforward example of what a border could look like. So if you have a button that kind of has a border around it that's maybe a different color, that's what a border is, and you can add those to your elements. So technically, if I were to add a border size, border color here, that imaginary box would show up and then be colored with that border. Cool. So that's overall basics of CSS. And then I showed a little bit about how there's this like the body here like encapsulates the paragraph tag, and then you'll see here also, right, there's a group here called the nav, and I'm calling them groups now, but these sort of styles only are for the nav. And then these styles here at the bottom, the position, the left, and then the padding top are for what we called like the logo. So these are all kind of styles for different like groups. And what these groups look like essentially are kind of what we call classes. So for a div, which is just a temporary, or not temporary, a transparent like container, I'd call it. You can give it what's called a class so that you can group it essentially and have it be something that you only apply styles to for that specific div. So in this case, we called it a wrapper, and you can call these whatever you want. Yeah, in this case, we called it wrapper. There's also another div under it called content, and then the H1, which we gave it a title. And so here's an example. Here I have this kind of section that I wanted to make a group. So everything inside this section is going to be applied with these styles that I called picture section, because it's going to be the picture section. And then I gave it in CSS for every class has a period at the very beginning. So picture section, I added background color green, yellow. And that's going to be specifically for this. No other section is going to have that background color. Cool. So yeah, that's a very, very brief intro. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to unshare and then bring back my Codédex builds so you all can see my ongoing website. Okay, and then also what I'm going to build, because this is kind of a little bit exciting for me. So here we go. Basically, this is a screenshot from an app called Partiful. And this is basically, if you've never heard of before, they're electronic invitations that you send a link to, and then people can RSVP. So it's kind of like a LinkedIn event, honestly, kind of like a Discord event where you like RSVP and you click that you're interested. And then there's an app for it called Partiful where you can do like events, parties, things like that, and you share invites with your friends. So I made one for my birthday because I'm turning 22 like next week in like 8 days. So I made a invite, but I want to kind of turn this like 90s style. So that's kind of something that I want to work on. And then this is my image. So I will be going to the Codédex Builds and showing you kind of how to do that. Thank you for the early birthdays. Thank you. Yeah, so here is kind of example of what that Codédex builds look like. Please don't come for me. I do really like light mode, and I really wish this was in light mode, but whatever. Hot take. Cool. So I have an example of some HTML code already. And by the way, for builds, it's just here in this corner, and then you click which one you want to go for. So this is just kind of an example of I have a background already. And then I have some text under here, and then this image. Codédex Builds just got a new folder here for assets, so you can actually put in pictures. Oh, Sunny says, wait, you can make it light mode. Oh, is it this? Ah, oh my gosh, yeah. Wait, that's awesome. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, cool. So I have here a section of HTML code that I called it the title section, Maxie's clothing shop. So I'm gonna change it to Ellie birthday. Okay, cool. And you'll see that just like automatically updates. And then I'm gonna keep referencing back my image. So Saturday, December 21st is like the date. So under the image, which I have right here, I'm going to have this as like the footer. So inside this footer section, I'm going to put maybe a header 1 tag that is going to be Saturday, December 21st. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to go back to my style.css. But as you'll see, like this is centered because I have here in the body which body, by the way, encapsulates everything. So everything inside body is going to have these styles. So which is why the background color is blue violet at the moment. Oh, actually, I feel like, sorry, this is about what sign you are. I think I'm a Sagittarius. If I think 21st is cusp. I think it's both. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Anyways, okay. So I'm like, Saturday. Oh, so I want to actually align it to the left or not have the center text align for all of them. So I'm going to delete this. How does that look? So the default automatically goes to the left, but I still want Ellie birthday to be in the middle because that's what the picture looks like. So to do that, I'm going to go back here and then this H1, I'm going to give it a class name called header title. Okay. And then I'll go back to my CSS and then I'm going to do dot header title and then text align center. So now that is in the center and the rest of my other text is not. Okay, cool. Saturday, December 21st. Okay. And then now if I go back, the time now. Okay. So let me do a maybe header 3 so the text is a little bit smaller. And then I'll do 4 p.m. Okay, cool. That works. And then I'll go ahead and change the text color later, but 4 p.m. And then what else do we have? Okay, then we have like these like little icons that I will go back to. But I'll do the hosted by Ellie. So right under the header here. I'll do, let's see. So this text looks smaller than the 4 p.m. So I'll just do a paragraph tag here. And then I'll do hosted by Ellie. And then maybe I actually want to add in a little emoji. There we go. Okay, cool. And we can see that. I'm actually also going to get rid of the pink background I have going on. So I'll get rid of this. And I'll comment this out for now. Cool. So that is my invitation, sort of. And then, I have my description here. That I'm gonna go ahead and change that so that's like, please come to my birthday party. Cool. Fun. Okay. So now what I want to do is I actually want to switch this picture right here. So I'm actually going to really quickly, I'll use this same picture actually. So I'm going to screenshot that and I'm going to go into assets and I'm actually going to drop this screenshot in here. And then I'm going to copy the file path and then use that image instead of the cats that I have. The cats are cute though. Okay, cool. But now, as you can see, the picture is not in the size that I want it. It's not the layout that I want. I'm going to change this right here. So for an image, I can also add an alt tag. And what this means is this is so that the website becomes what we call like accessible, and we're able to so for example, someone who uses a screen reader device, the image can be read out loud to them, or so that it can be described. So that's what the alt means. So I'll do alt logo of 22nd of 22. Okay. And then for the width, let me go ahead and change, see what 200 looks like. Okay. 300. Okay, yeah. That's good. That I think like looks big enough for me. 350. Um okay. And you'll see why, like this is why it's important to kind of have your output window, so that every time you make a change, at least for me, I really like saving immediately and then seeing exactly what that looks like. So I'm able to figure out what I need to change immediately. But cool. Okay. So now let's go back. So this is inside picture section. No styles for that. Okay, so this is in main, and this is everything inside here. So I need to figure out, it's kind of skewing over to the right a little bit there. What does this do? Okay. We'll keep that. I'll get rid of this. And then I'm going to do a picture section. And then let me see what this does. Okay. For the picture section, I want to center it. And to do that, let me see here. Let me maybe make this smaller. That looks a little bit more centered. I do want to show how to add in the little like icons maybe. So I will do that because that's a little bit easier. Let me go ahead and I'm going to search up calendar drawing logo PNG. So this is kind of how I use my I just kind of Google search. So this one has, I think, a background, a transparent background. So I copied the image address, and that's also something that you can do to add in your images. So inside footer, it's going to be above the description here, or I think it's actually below the header for the time. Yes. Okay. So I will do, I'm going to make a div, and then inside this div, I'm going to add in an image, and then the source will be this link. And then let's see how this looks. Okay, so that's huge. So we are going to, for this here, I'm going to add in a width. Let's see, how does 20 look? Okay, perfect. So we have the little calendar. And then I can do maybe a little bit bigger, 25, sure. Okay, cool. And then now I'm going to add an image right next to it. So I'm going to open up another one. And the next one looks like just like the 3 dots. I think I'll probably maybe replace it with like a plus sign just so I can get clip art of that, much easier. So I'll do a little plus, logo, PNG. Perfect. That looks good. And this is maybe like add it to your events or something. So I'll copy that image address. There we go. And then I'll also add a width here of maybe also 25. Let's see what that looks like. Perfect. Okay, cool. Awesome. So now I have these two right next to each other. Let me also go ahead and now change the background. I'm thinking actually of doing a gradient. So yeah. Let me do how to do backgrounds, gradient, CSS. And then here's examples of how you can do that. So I'll go ahead, copy this, add it to here, and then I can choose my colors. So I'll stick with the blue violet, and then maybe a pink. Okay, love. Okay, she looks good. So yeah, I really like this actually. That came out really nice. And let me also now go through fonts. Because that's also something that you can change. And what I really like about the Codédex Builds is that you have, if I do like, you can pick from these, so they automatically come up because this is something that Codédex Builds has. Do a Times New Roman. Okay, love. Let me also do. I probably also want to change maybe the size of this. So header title. Okay. And then I'll do font size, maybe 50 pixels. How does that look like? Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. So yeah, this is kind of an example of a little bit of how HTML CSS works. This is an example of how you can bring kind of stuff together with just like a few simple tweaks. I literally just added color, changed around some text, images, things like that. Yes, I can go ahead and also answer some questions in the chat. Centering a div should give us bonus points. I agree. Would creating a class ID for the image on HTML and then selecting that class for CSS work? So there's a difference between class and then IDs. So they're two different things. But if you add a class to an image, yes, that works. That's something that you're able to do. Yeah, and then thanks, Eric, for answering what is a div in HTML? Yeah, it's a container. I like to call it it's like transparent. You don't really, in the actual like HTML and the website output, you don't actually see like a div. It's just something that holds containers so that you can organize stuff. And so I use the div to hold kind of this information here. Cool. Yeah, a div can hold any HTML element. Yeah. So I've been just having it hold text and images. But there's also links. There's also all that other stuff. Cool. Yeah. And then there's also a really good question that why do we have to use H2, H3, H4s when you can just use divs? Yeah, and that's a really good point. Technically, I think I saw a long time ago, someone's like, here's a website made of entirely all divs. It's really scary. Basically, H1s and like the H1 through 6 is what we call like semantic HTML. And that just basically means, yeah, it's easier. It makes sense for other developers to like kind of give an example of like what actually is like a certain thing. So H1 is going to be, that's going to be your main header. When you're reading the code, you know that that's a header. You know that that's kind of the something to like look out for. But it's also something that we use for accessibility purposes. And this is with like screen reader devices, it's able to exactly detect the importance of certain things because it has this sort of layout. It's just more accessible. So it's always very encouraged to use the very specific like element and attributes for HTML. Oh, do you prefer Flex or Grid? Oh my gosh, I love Flex. Flex is what I learned first. And I'll pull that up really quick for everyone watching since we're here and we're talking about HTML, CSS. Flex is, can I show, I'll show the image, this stuff. So this like lets you very quickly, it's really funny. This lets you really quickly like change around like content. It's for layouts. Oh, I love Flexbox Froggy. Yeah, it's so cool. And then there's Grid CSS, which I don't know anything about, but I know that this is better for like grids. Like they both have their pros and cons. Because it's very easy to do something like this, and then it automatically like lays it out in like rows and columns, and it's I don't know, and I don't. It's just something I haven't. I have beef with CSS Grid, so I feel like Flex is something that I've always really um I like this. Okay, I'm sorry, I was gonna start playing this. Yeah, not fan of Grid. Exactly. Colin, you know what's up because Grid Slender supported. How do you manage and schedule your time effectively? I'd say be sure to know exactly what it is that you need to complete to have the most minimum working website that you need like as possible. You need to like design it and you need to code like some sort of functionality with it. If you're going to use JavaScript, figure out what exactly it is that you want your final product to be, but the most basic version of it. So you complete that first, and then if there's other stuff that are like nice to haves, then that would be something that you can do later. Third energy drink cracks open. Thank you all so much. Yeah, definitely feel free to take a 5-minute break. And then Dharma will be coming along. Very excited for his workshop. Um, please don't consume a lot of energy drink. um, Celsius was at, I went to a hackathon at Purdue University and Celsius was there. And I went up to get a second one and they're like, we can't give you another one. So that was, don't take more than 2. Don't be like me. Cool. Have a good one, you guys. Also, Celsius Mango No Fizz is OP. See y'all. Bye. Take care, y'all.